Protesting Shiite members caused a disturbance of the peace in Abuja on Monday when they came face to face with a combined military team.
Absolutely. Now, for the second time in just 3 days, the military responded with force, shooting at the protesters seeking the conditional release of their leader, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaky. TVC News senior correspondent Femi Akonde tells us more.
Angry, daring and resolute, thousands of Shiite protesters are on the streets for the second time in 3 days. Children and women form a large part of these protesters walking against the odds of military firepower to register their demand. Free Sheikh El-Zakzaky. This Abuja-bound protest was relatively peaceful from Mararaba in Nasarawa. The tides turned when the Shiites arrived at the military checkpoint. The combined military team, armed to the teeth, were provoked when the Shiite procession attempted to forcefully break through their barricade. All hell was let loose. The military responded with lethal force. Our camera lens captured what seemed like some members of the Shiite group lying on the floor, perhaps hit by bullets. Residents and passers-by also scampered to safety. The most frustrating was the gridlock that began to build. Angry commuters and motorists got talking about the violent clash.
I would say this situation is unnecessary. It's unnecessary in the sense that the government of the day is not doing the right thing. One, if a court of law said somebody should be released, release the person. Even if you have other things against the person, take the person to court again. If the court finds him guilty, they will do at the appropriate thing. It's not you unnecessarily keeping someone in your detention.
That's a failure of intelligence gathering. Because if this happened 2 days ago, the security agencies are supposed to be on top of their game to actually avert, a thing like this.
The violence here was like a reenactment of Saturday's scene in Zuba, outskirts of Abuja. Commercial drivers at the Zuba Park were terrified. Thomas Sani, a commercial driver, is yet to come to terms with how quickly a peaceful protest turned violent, forcing him and other drivers to abandon their vehicles.
We are running. We leave motor. Everybody run here. Because if you don't run, you die. So because of the straight bullet. Even though it's this police, they say at the discharge. So you don't hear the English. When it's happening, everybody also we are moving from there, and now load my own vehicle and go back to my house to avoid the story that touch.
The continued detention of Shiite leader Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaky continues to anger thousands of his followers. Despite several court orders granting him bail, the government insists on keeping him in confinement, causing growing protest and heightened tension. This inscription, Buhari Free Zakzaky, is becoming a common sight at strategic locations in Abuja. Well, this is one clever way the Shiite group in Nigeria is using to call attention to the continuous detention of their spiritual leader. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Abuja.
All right, now Jide Ologun is still with us in the studio to discuss this. Thank you for staying with us.
And also joining us via Skype from Abuja. For this segment in Abuja studio rather, he's being Ro Olajuigbe, our security consultant. Bero, thank you for joining us on the program this morning.
It's a pleasure being with you.
All right, so this sector has often been accused of conducting processions that often culminate into illegal roadblocks. There's no doubt that no individual or group of persons, has the right to tamper with public peace. But what happened to the use of less lethal weapons, like we've seen in the past, the use of water cannons, rubber bullets, pepper spray, and even tear gas. Why the use of live ammunitions?
Well, let me quickly tell us here that we are a sort of people that complain of headache in the morning and continue to drink the wine that gives the same headache in the night. Why I'm saying this is this: if we're a country of deep reflection, we will have reflected on this, on the issue of Boko Haram, how we got to this point where we are on Boko Haram. This is a semblance of it at the formative stage of Boko Haram. That is what we are seeing now. What we are seeing now is a clear violence against the law, against justice, and against civilian population, which should not be tolerated by any state. I guess all other nations are clapping for our government and for the state of Nigeria today for what we are doing. It's highly uncivilized to use any weapon against civilian population that are protesting in democracy. It is unheard of. It is not expected of a government to do this. And of course, you could see a lot of people have been killed in this violence that is, can be described as state violence against its own people. Why should we go the same road again? The same road of injustice, the same road of repression, the same road that will take us to Boko Haram stage 2. Why can't we engage people in a civil way in democracy? Must our response to issue be violence or at all time? These people could be engaged. Let me state equally that Sasaki did not just start in 2014. He started his movement when in 1979 when he was a student at ABU. And he has been growing along that line under a constitution that is that respects religion of anybody, everybody. So he has been growing with minimum violence. Rather, he has suffered a lot of violence. He has lost 6 of his children between 1914 and between 2014 and 2015. He lost 6 of his own children, biological children. And others were killed in the same situation. The protest is against the continual detention of this man that have been granted bail. I have no reason to speak for him as a Christian myself. He is a Muslim, but then I have the belief that our space is conducive enough for people to practice what they believe, if they are not violent. And if they are violent in their way, there should be a lay-down procedure of engaging them, of prosecuting them, of getting justice to the victims of their violence. That is my position on this matter. And we cannot be showing this type of picture to our children. What we are inevitably doing is to create a society that will eventually live with culture of violence. Everything that is happening today, they are in reservation for future war. Why should we begin to waste our money, our resources, hard to get resources, on rebuilding what we use our hands to destroy? What manner of development are we going to achieve with that? Look at the massive destruction in the Northeast that could have been avoided if the state was not repressive. Now we are towing the same line. And surely, if not checkmated on time, the end result is as good as what we are facing today. So I think the way out now is for government to clearly issue order to the military. It is in accordance with the law of our nation, the fundamental human rights of people, and the international human rights, including respecting the law that guides armed conflict. And this is not even armed conflict. So why should we be killing ourselves? And like I said, those who are just watching it, this is how Boko Haram ended up getting sympathy from the people.
All right, Bero.
We should not give these people opportunity to get sympathy from people again.
Bero, we have to wrap
so
up this session.
So that we deplete army that could have been.
All right, we have to just wrap up the session. Thank you very much. I know you have a lot to say. It's really quite heart-rending. Bero Olajuyigbe, security consultant, thank you for joining us on the show. And Barrister Jide Ologun, lawyer and public affairs analyst, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us as well.
God bless Nigeria.